Welcome to HPC News Bytes, a weekly show about important news in the world of supercomputing, AI, quantum computing, and other advanced technologies.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to HPC News Bytes. I'm Doug Black, and with me is Shaheen Khan. IBM is not a commercial chip manufacturing company, but it has maintained very advanced research prowess in the microprocessor field and licenses its technology to chip manufacturers like Rapidus, Samsung, and Intel, although not TSMC. Last week, it announced a serious semiconductor milestone. IBM says its new 0.7 nanometer or 7 angstrom nanostack architecture can nearly double the density of its earlier 2 nanometer research chip, packing close to 100 billion transistors onto a fingernail-sized chip with projected gains of up to 50% more performance or 70% better energy efficiency versus IBM's 2 nanometer class technology. In 2021, IBM was first to produce a 2 nanometer test chip on a 300 millimeter wafer through what they called nanosheets. Then in 2022, it partnered with the Japan-backed high-end and well-funded advanced foundry startup Rapidus to help transfer and jointly develop 2 nanometer technology for Japan's emerging advanced foundry effort. IBM also continues to work with Samsung Foundry, which manufactures IBM's recent mainframe chip, Telum 2, and accelerator chip, Spire, on Samsung's 5 nanometer technology. So IBM's role is unusual but important. It sold its global microelectronics and fab business to global foundries in 2015, but kept the roadmap. New York State's Albany Nanotech, now expanding with a publicly accessible high numerical aperture EUV center, gives IBM a place to shape future chip technology without owning high-volume manufacturing. Strategically, we should continue to look at IBM as a research anchor in the U.S. allied semiconductor ecosystem.
You could say IBM has always been about being a trusted enterprise technology partner. These days, we could see 7 strategic areas of focus. First, it's IBM's Z and power systems in what I call, and maybe they should too, the high-trust infrastructure market. Mainframes and power systems carry on as important infrastructure for banking, payments, governments, and mission-critical transaction processing. They also create IBM's need for secure, reliable, high-performance silicon. Second is quantum computing. IBM has one of the most visible quantum roadmaps in the industry with hardware, software, cloud access, ecosystem development, and now deeper fabrication ties to Albany Nanotech. Quantum remains long-term, but it reinforces IBM's image as a deep computing company with a head start on the next wave. Third is enterprise AI, now centered on Watson X, all lowercase, and agents with a strategy focused on governed, auditable, enterprise-grade AI for banks, governments, insurers, healthcare, and regulated industries. Fourth is hybrid cloud, with Red Hat and OpenShift at its center. If you see enterprise AI running across public cloud, private cloud, on-prem systems, edge environments, and regulated infrastructure, then a hybrid cloud as the deployment layer and as provided by Red Hat makes perfect sense. Fifth is cybersecurity, governance, and resilience, and especially as AI moves into business processes. Companies need identity, access control, auditability, data protection, model governance, and operational resilience, and this fits IBM's traditional strength with big professional services and cybersecurity expertise. Speaking of which, the sixth is consulting and global enterprise execution. IBM Consulting is the way many of these technologies reach customers. AI governance, cloud modernization, security, automation, and regulated industry transformation all require services and integration. The seventh is what we discussed, advanced chip research as strategic leverage in a broader research agenda. IBM develops frontier chip technologies such as 2 nanometer nanosheets and now sub 1 nanometer nanostack structures and partners with Samsung, Rapidus, Albany Nanotech, tool vendors, and big customers. All of the above is also important in geopolitics and sovereign technology, which perhaps forms an eighth area. IBM's global presence and focus on many of the places governments now care about can give it an advantage in AI governance, cybersecurity, quantum readiness, semiconductor research, hybrid cloud, and critical infrastructure. So, the significance of the sub 1 nanometer news is ultimately the reinforcement of being a trusted enterprise technology provider.
The U.S. government has issued a pair of quantum focused executive orders, one aimed at accelerating quantum innovation and the other aimed at securing federal systems against future quantum enabled cryptographic attacks. Reuters described the orders as targeting a powerful quantum computer by 2028 and moving key government systems toward post quantum cryptography by 2030 or 2031. The innovation order directs the government to push toward useful quantum systems, including a quantum computer for application development and discovery science, along with quantum sensing, networking, supply chain work, workforce development, and international cooperation. The cybersecurity order is the more immediate operational mandate. It pushes federal agencies to migrate high-value and high-impact systems to NIST-approved post-quantum cryptography. The U.S. deadlines are roughly 2030 for quantum-resistant key establishment and 2031 for digital signatures. It also pushes federal contractors and vendors toward PQC readiness through procurement and compliance pressure. In practice, this means companies that sell into federal markets, support critical infrastructure, or provide cryptographic products will need crypto inventories, migration plans, vendor roadmaps, and eventually quantum-safe implementations. This aligns with what Europeans are doing, and it tightens what the US had in place. The UK roadmap is formulated as guidance and says organizations, not just government agencies, should plan by 2028, complete high-priority migration by 2031, and complete broader migration by 2035. The EU issued a coordinated PQC roadmap in June 2025, following a 2024 recommendation that member states develop comprehensive PQC strategies. Timelines for French policies are similar. Of course, quantum computers continue to look far away from being able to break encryption, but the actions show that the risk has moved from research concern to government timetable.
Yes, the US policy really is shifting from research and readiness to procurement and compliance. Governments increasingly view quantum computing as an imperative and believe they must cover both the opportunity and the risk. On one side, quantum computing, sensing, and networking could matter for science, defense, materials, chemistry, navigation, and secure communications. On the other hand, a future cryptographically relevant quantum computer could undermine much of today's public key encryption. But quantum is not the only technology that has this kind of dynamics, and governments cannot afford to buy unlimited insurance against every possible black swan, so to say. AI accidents, biotech misuse, cyber collapse, IoT, critical infrastructure insecurity, grid failure, climate shocks, semiconductor disruption, and now quantum code breaking. So they have to ask which risks have severe downside, which require long lead times, which mitigations are useful even if the worst case does not happen, which sectors are critical enough to move first, and PQC scores high on those tests. Even if Q day, so to say, is not near, harvest now, decrypt later has been a topic for years. Encrypted data is believed to be already stolen to be decrypted later. Migration also has important benefits: better vendor discipline, more resilient security architecture, industry agility or crypto agility, which is the term of art, and generally highlighting the general cybersecurity issues that are not going to go away. And then NIST has finalized its first post-quantum standards in 2024. So there is a practical basis for implementation and for procurement and compliance. The geopolitical angle is equally important. The US, the UK, and the EU are converging around the 2030 to 2035 post-quantum transition window. That reflects concern about China and other strategic competitors, but also recognizing that cryptography is foundational infrastructure. If governments move together, they shape standards, supply chains, certification, procurement, and vendor behavior. And equally important, any migration needs to be high quality. A rushed migration could break systems, waste money, create new vulnerabilities, etc. But a slow wait and see model is also dangerous because the work takes years. The prudent model is phased, inventory first, protect the most sensitive systems, require new products to be crypto agile, use procurement to move markets, and complete broad migration over time with high quality.
Oak Ridge National Lab has selected the first 9 research projects that will run on Discovery, the next U.S. flagship supercomputer that is slated for deployment in 2028. According to published reports, Discovery is projected to be roughly 3 to 5 times more powerful than Frontier, the current flagship system at Oak Ridge, and Discovery will play a central role in the Genesis mission, DOE's scientific platform initiative. The website for the Oak Ridge Leadership Computer Facility has all the details.
Really looking forward to this system, and of course, also looking forward to continued action in the top 500, and encouraging our listeners to go listen to our coverage of the last very newsworthy type top 500 results. The selected applications in this case span a diverse set of scientific domains, including astrophysics, molecular biology, quantum chemistry, aerospace engineering, and likewise, the teams behind them reflect a broad cross-section of the research community, with participants from the industry, universities, national laboratories, NASA, and other federal agencies. Quite a multidisciplinary approach. All right, that's it for this episode. Thank you all for being with us. And thank you, Doug, for dialing in from an airport.
Okay, very good.
HPC News Bytes is a production of Orion X. Shaheen Khan and Doug Black host the show. Every episode is posted on orionx.net. If you like the show, please rate and review it. Thank you for listening.